This is Dr. Farah Arif, and today we will talk about another marketing concept which is called marketing environment. Now, marketing environment is a set of variables that you should know if you want to understand the marketing complexities and you want to go into the high level of marketing concepts. So in this marketing environment, as you can see, there are different variables that we need to understand. These are the core variables. The first is the customer needs and wants. Then there is market offerings. Then there is customer value and customer satisfaction. Then there is exchanges and relationships, and then there is markets. So let's talk about needs, wants, and demands first. Um, Need is a basic requirement that a customer has. Here, the customer is not asking for brands, the customer is not asking for additional features, but this is the basic requirement that the customer would like to fulfill. And there is not much competition there. Why? Because the product or the service is more or less the same. Now, when we go to the wants is the higher level of need. Here you will see some kind of additional features that customer is demanding. There is some kind of additional competition that you can see in the market because the variables which are associated to the product and services, they are varying from the company to company, but still it's not that complicated. But when it comes to demand means that the customer are willing to pay extra for the product and the services they would like to have. And the very good examples here is a set of good examples we can see over here. And I'll take the first example from this graph, water. So the need is to have water, let's say for drinking water. And the want says that you want it to be bottled. So you have now asked for some additional features. And when it becomes the branded bottle, then you are generating the demand for it. So demand, when the concept of demand is always backed by giving extra money for that product or service. And of course, that it is a branded product. Now, I kept on saying product and services, but what are the differences between these? So let's discuss that. So, product is tangible and service is intangible. You cannot hold a service in your hands, whereas a product you can hold. Um, the product ownership is transferred. So, for example, a company is developing the product and the company is manufacturing the product and the company is selling the product to the buyer. So, the ownership is transferred. But in the case of services, the ownership is not transferred. So I give you an example of a hair cutting stylist, the barber example. Now, when you go to a barber shop or to a hair cutting salon, your hairs are being cut, but the as you say, the ownership of that art is not transferred to you. You don't become a hair cutter. Hair cutter remains a hair cutter, right? So the ownership is not, you get the services, but the ownership is not transferred. Then there is need versus relationship. So in the products, we fulfill a specific customer need, right? But in the case of services, they are more about building customer relationships. Therefore, when we say that we should introduce services, we are meant by the customer relationships. Products come in many shapes, colors, and sizes, whereas the services basic features remain the same across different service providers, more or less. Quality evaluation. Quality, when we talk about the product, it's as simple as the quality of a product can be determined through standardization in the production process. You can calculate the quality, you can measure it, but you can't measure the quality. You can measure the quality of the service, but this is not that simple. And each time you deliver the service, the quality will be a bit different. Products can be returned, but the services cannot be returned. If they are given, they are given. Then we have separability. They can be separated from the seller, as we discussed. Services cannot be separated from the seller. Storage services cannot be stored, whereas products can be stored. Um, this is very interesting concepts. The production, distribution, and the consumption run separately at different times when we talk about the product. But when we talk about services, the production, distribution, and consumption, it occurs simultaneously. Now, let's talk about customer value and customer satisfaction. So, what is value? The amount of benefits customers get from buying a product or service is the value. And how do we calculate the value? So, first, think about the total customer benefits. So, if we minus total customer costs from total customer benefits, you will get the customer value. So higher the benefits as compared to the cost, higher would be the customer value. And then there is a concept of satisfaction. If a product or service meets or exceeds a buyer's expectation, he or she will be satisfied, right? And if the product or service does not meet the expectation, a buyer in his or her mind that the product, before buying it, he or she will be dissatisfied. So as a marketer, you need to focus on the value, and then if the value is good, then you need to focus on the satisfaction. You need to create the environment where the customer, the buyer, should remain satisfied with your product or with your service. Then there is an exchange between buyer and seller. Now, it's a very simple concept, not complicated, but it's important to understand that we are in the business of value creation. When a buyer buys something from the seller, buyers creating value for the seller. And when the seller is selling something to the buyer, seller is creating the value for the buyer. So this is the value creation process that buyer and seller do while they are exchanging with each other. So let's move forward. So the last concept is of market. I give you an example to highlight the concept of markets. For example, Daraz. So Daraz is an online market space where buyers and sellers are interacting with each other, exchanging with each other, as we discussed. So this is the market. So this is the online market space. When you talk about the offline market space, for example, a shopping mall where the different sellers are there and buyers go and buy their products. So that is a market example of brick and mortar. So today we have discussed the important concepts of marketing. These are the foundation concepts of marketing. If you understand them, you will be able to do marketing in a better